Hello everyone, Carlos Flores, back on basics. Before we begin this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Back on Basics 9985. Hit the notification button so you can get notified of any new videos that come on board. If you have any comments, any questions, any topics, any suggestions, or if you want me to give you my take on any topic, put it in the comment section and I'll be more than happy to do so. If you want to connect with me in other social media outlets, you can connect with me on Facebook by searching Back on Basics. You can connect with me on Instagram and on X, but by typing at Back on Basics. And you can connect with me on Threads by typing either at Back on Basics or Back on Basics. And all of those have my picture, have my profile picture, so you can see myself with my beard, except that I was a little bit bald. I need to shave today. But anyways, so today's topic is about effective communication. Effective communication is important because we need to communicate effectively. We need to make sure that we're doing this the way that we should, that we're focusing, that we're paying attention, and at the same time, being in the neutral zone, being here in the neutral zone. Oh, by the way, just to give you an update, I did not end up going to Def Leppard. I missed them. They were in San Francisco, I think a Friday or two ago. The thing that was on my bucket list. It's okay, right? Process it, look at it, process it, set it aside. Keep it on my bucket list because there may be another opportunity to see them. So, Def Leppard, best band ever. Just wanted to make sure I give you shout outs on my video. So, let's go back to effective communication. So, effective communication is very important because you want to be present. You want to be in the present moment when you're communicating. And you want to make sure that what you're doing is making sure that the other person knows it. Remember, effective communication is not only being in the here and now, right? Having excellent listening skills, listen to them, but affirm also. Make sure that you're affirming and you're relating, you're saying, I hear what you're saying. Or you can say, when I was doing therapy, what I did was just to get verification is, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is what you're telling me right now. And so that that makes them think. And it's like, hey, this person listening to me. As they communicate or as you communicate, you should do that. Be patient because you don't know what they're going to communicate. And also be patient that sometimes they're not going to hear what you're communicating because they may not be in the best of places. So make sure that you're always effectively communicating in the present moment, right? You don't want to be held back by the things that any attachments from the past. You also don't want to create a virtual world or so that way your mind thinks that it's all taken care of. Remember what I told you. I gave you an example, right? During high school, I used to listen to so much music. Def Leppard. I used to listen to a lot of different music. I used to go through batteries weekly because I would listen to music. I would actually sit, and you can ask my brother. I would actually sit and sing songs. I would talk. I would go through scenarios, ladies and gentlemen, of what I would say to a friend or to somebody that I liked, or to my teachers. And you know what happens? And I didn't notice this until I took psychology and even more when I started doing therapy, was that I was in my mind, I was already talking to them. It's amazing how the mind is. I mean, sometimes as you practice and practice and practice different types of communications, sometimes your mind thinks that you already had that conversation. So that goes out So it doesn't have an importance, right? And then sometimes we tend to kind of like psych ourselves out because as we practice good, bad, and ugly communication, we tend to overdo it, and we tend to feel like we have closure, but we don't, because it's only communicating within ourselves. It's not communicating with the other person. And so that's what I mean about effective communication. You have to be open and honest. You have to tell the person that you're communicating, why you're communicating the way that you're communicating, why you're communicating what you're communicating, why you're communicating the good, the bad, and the ugly. And again, right, be mindful that sometimes people react differently. Some people may say, "Oh, I hear you," and support you. Some people may say they may bring up their things that they're going through because they feel like they need to communicate that to you. Or, I mean, there could be a misunderstanding. There's always misunderstandings between human beings because, again, so this is what I taught, and this is what I still teach my students in psychology, is that we as human beings are storytellers. We have to be honest with ourselves. We are. And so whenever we see pieces of a story, right, what we do is, based on our past experiences, our perceptions, and how we see things, we fill in the gaps. We fill in the missing gaps. And so it's not really somebody else's story now. Now it's your story because you're filling in the gaps, and you haven't verified whether that's correct or not. And that's where effective communication comes in, because you can ask, right? If you get bits and pieces of stories, then ask. Don't be afraid. Ask. You want to make sure that you get these bits and pieces. You want to fill in the blanks from the people that have you've heard from the people that have told you something. Clarification is very important. Clarifying communication, a topic, or the way that somebody communicates to you, or even you. Remember, you know yourself, right? Know yourself. That's very important, because if you're escalating, then the communication is going to look different. If you're angry or frustrated, the communication will look different than if you're sad. Or if you feel like you're hurt, it's going to come out different. And so effective communication needs to be neutral for the most part. I mean, you do have to deliver the communication, but then you have to follow it up with why and how this happened to get to where it is in your mind. So that way you can verify whether it's true or not from the other person's perspective. So effective communication is a two-way street. Effective communication means that you're going to be empathic to the way that they feel. And, naturally, they would do the same thing. But at the same time, right, we're all in slightly this similar journeys, except that there's little nuances, little differences. And so sometimes we tend to feel like we're all alone, right? But we do have similar experiences. And that's the reason why another recommendation of mine is for you to connect with your support system. I actually have a question for one of my support system members today or tomorrow. I'm going to give him a call, and I'm going to get clarification on something, because I just don't know what to do. I've never encountered what I've encountered. And so I want to make sure that I make the right decision. And remember what I said. I want to make sure I want to make the right decision, because he'll be happy to give me his point of view of what he sees. But at the same time, I have to either accept it or reject it based on what I want to try moving forward. I may blend recommendations with what I'm thinking of doing, or I may just take the recommendation because I feel like this is what I need to do. Or I may just reject it and say, I'll just go with what I'm doing and then see what happens. And then if I have to adapt, then we'll adapt. So there's different ways of doing this. There's different ways of making sure that you're communicating effectively. I'm sorry. I'm starting, my nose started to drip. I think it's the fan. I mean, temperature here is high. It's going down. Not as high as other places, by the way. It's going down. You see my shorts. I did 2 shorts, one in Spanish, one in English, and I'm always making the shorts and the longer video be on the same topic. So that way, again, I'm making it like a librarian. I'm thinking that way, like a librarian, that if you want to see what my topics are for that day, look at my shorts. My shorts have a very concise title, and it tells you. So what I do, the topics in my short videos are the topics in my longer video. So today, that's what I talk about: effective communication, being there, being empathetic, right? Being listening to somebody when they're talking, making sure that you're in the present moment, being in the present moment, being in the here and now, and making sure that you're reciprocating. You're letting them know that you're listening. You're letting them know that you see things. And even if they don't see it, just be a broken record. That's one of the techniques that I learned in therapy. It's called a broken record technique. Just repeat it with no emotion. Say, I see what you said. I'm seeing what you said. I truly see what you said. Again, I truly see what you say. You see how that goes? It's because you're trying to communicate, and sometimes it takes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different times of you communicating the same thing without any emotions, without any strings. And so that way they'll be able to say, oh yeah, that's right. I hear him saying, or I hear her saying this. So I guess this is what he or she meant. So broken record technique, it just means communicating what you want to communicate in a neutral way over and over. I'm not saying listen. It's more of like, this is what I think. I'm sorry, but this is what I think. You know what? I agree with you, but this is how I think, or this is what I think. So again, right? Effective communication skills are these: present moment, in the here and now, right? Being respectful. Again, you could be the listener, you could be the speaker. Be respectful. Be mindful of reactions, because this is the first time that you're either saying it or you're hearing what the others are getting as well, or communicating. Again, use the broken record technique. Say it, repeat it, but in a neutral way. Repeat it in a very low tone, so that way they understand that it's non-threatening. That all you're saying is this. All you're saying is this, right? All you're saying is this. And so make sure that they feel like you're empathetic. Don't fake it. This is not a time that you fake it until you make it. This is the time when you're really empathetic. Because if you're not, then they'll see right through it, and the communication will go nowhere. So those are the things on how to communicate effectively. Remember, just be there for them, or let them be there for you. Sometimes I tend to be too much introvert, and I don't let people be there for me, but I'm learning. I'm adapting. I'm telling you, I'm adapting. And I'm trying to be there. And I'm trying to let people in to be there for me. So, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Back on Basics 9985. Hit the notification button so you can get notified of any videos that come on board. If you have any topics, any feedback, any questions, anything that you want me to give you my take on, put it in the comment section. So, till next time, remember, listen, be respectful, empathetic in the here and now. And you have those tools. Just practice them a little bit. I'm still practicing mine. Believe me. Sometimes there's times that it's hard for me to use them, so I'm practicing them. Back on basics.